Illuminate Community Builder by Illuminati is an online community platform that has a modular build and pricing model, making it easy to tailor to specific needs and budgets. Each module allows different functionality, such as group management, including mentoring and support networks, LinkedIn integrated profiles, or event marketing. And you can choose which combination works best for you based on your specific community needs. Unlike other options on the market, Illuminate Community Builder features a unique page builder system using a comprehensive asset library. This allows you to modify all aspects of the design and content, offering virtually unlimited flexibility, making sure the platform can grow with your evolving needs. As an administrator, you have access to a suite of tools with which you can oversee the management of your community, run reports, analyze data, and gain a deeper understanding of user needs so you can optimize your community engagement.
So, today's event. Maria has worked in higher education since 2009. She started as a project manager in the Boston University Community Service Center, where she partnered with Harvard's Community Service Initiatives. She then went on to pursue a master's in international business from Hult International Business School, which further developed her expertise in project management, volunteer management, and stakeholder engagement. So Maria, welcome to the webinar. It's nice to have you back.
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. I am actually based in Chile, so I live in South America now. I moved from London here for a short time, and then, the pandemic happened, etc. So now I'm here based in Chile. But I'm always obviously available online and on LinkedIn. So I hope to connect with all of you after this. So let's start. So the idea of this session is just to walk you through top 3 issues that I have found managing communities. And I'm going to give you kind of 2 or 3 or 4 ideas for each of the problems on things to do. So very important when troubleshooting is that the idea is that you are able to just do one of these actions almost like without thinking so much about everything else. So you don't have almost like a mental obstacle to it. So I'll give you very easy things you can do that will really make lots of impact on your communities from today onwards, hopefully. Problem number 1. So you have lots of people that have signed up to your community, but now is no man's land. So it starts to be really, really like a desert, no engagement, no signups, or even if there are signups, there is no visible activity from your users. This is the number 1 problem we deal with in any community, I think, online or live. So I will just say that not many recruitment drives fail, particularly for universities or for established communities, nonprofits, etc. When you have a good motive, people usually are used to signing up to things, they like that, but then most engagement, those fail. So people is really busy, obviously overflowing emails, overflowing apps in their phones, and it's really hard to catch their attention and really hard to do that in the medium and the longer term. So I'm just going to give you 4 ideas to kind of get that engagement going. So what you see here is obviously you need to start really, really small in different areas to then see impact. I think many times when we run a community, we want to have 50% engagement from the users from the get-go. We want to do big things. We want to make sure our comms reach everyone or at least a lot of people. And that's not exactly how it goes. In these communities, you need to start really, really, really small. And that's what creates the ripple effects of engagement. So the first one is identify top engagers. So get your spreadsheet of your platform or of your community, see who are your top people that engages a lot or that you already know or that are key users, and get coffee with them, either a phone call or a live coffee, better if possible, and just get to know them, see what they enjoy of the community, but also see who they are in their lives. Not only is like a coffee to know about their experience with your community, but what is it that moves them? What do they like? What do they not like? And what do they need? And once you identify that, then you can really start getting ideas on how to do it. Also, these top engagers can then ideally, in your coffee with them or in your call, have one action for them. So for example, could you please contact another mentor or another user and say hi? Or could you update your profile a bit more? Or could you just record a 2-minute video to share on the platform or on our social media? So the idea is that you get coffee with your top engagers. I would say 5 to 10 people will be a good aim. Um, to really get that coffee, get that personal connection with, and then identify what they need, where are they in their life, what is their feedback on your community, and give them an action to do. And then obviously follow up every 3 months or so, try to get coffee again or have a call or just, get together, and get to know them. It's like a steward team relationship. The second idea is to execute a handheld initiative for 3 months. So this means, for example, a very small mentoring initiative, mentoring program for 20 users, 10 mentees, 10 mentors. You match them and you go like a bit deeper in your investment of time. So again, I know we're all short in time, but it is definitely worth it. It has to be really small, or for example, something for women or something for people in business or someone for law. So try to do a very, very small thing that you handheld for 3 months. So then you can really, again, get to know these users and really get some intense engagement, even though it is on a small group. The third thing is run an event online or in person, even if it's small, if it's very simple. Try to get people together, try to put a date in the calendar that makes your community really visible for your users. So they know they have to be there, they have it on their calendar, they want to go. So even if they don't go, having that in their heads makes your community into their heads and in as a priority. So definitely, again, it can be something really simple, just coffee, getting people together, sharing experiences. If you're in a university, you could get a faculty member to do a very short update. It doesn't have to be very high level, but it is good to do. And the fourth one is, we all want to do a lot of communications to our users and to our to stakeholders. But I think if you can lower those comms and really increase the relevance of the comms. So if you can send them one message every 2 months, but that message really, really tackles something that they want to know or something they need, or gives them the opportunity to be mentors or mentees, something that is really important to them, is better than send one weekly email that will kind of fall flat on all of the stuff you're competing with. So those are my 4 things. And like I said, if you choose one of these and you do it, your engagement will by default obviously increase, and then you have a place to start. Because if you have 1,000 users as an example, or even if you have 50 users, it may be a bit overwhelming to try to tackle them all. So if you can just find these very, very small seeds, get really close to them, get to know them, get to do these things, and then run with that, is more worth it. So yeah, so that's first problem, 4 ideas to solve them. There will be Q&A at the end, so you can ask me anything about this. So the second problem I encounter is your users come to you and say, I want to help, but I do not get asked for help. Or I want help, but I just cannot get it. I cannot find the person. People don't respond. So these are the eager users that really want to do something in this platform or in your communities, but they just don't find the way to do it or to receive what they want to receive. So very common as well. These are the feedback that a lot of communities get a lot of the time. So some users know what they want to get out of a community, and they go for it. But when there is no response, they become disillusioned. So here is obviously a big risk, not only because they fall apart, they fall kind of like away from your community, but also that they almost get a bad taste in their mouth about your institution or your organization. So this we need to tackle kind of head on. So 3 ideas here. The first one, identify and steward about 10 key people. So same thing as the previous problem. This is what you need to, this is the key to the success in communities. So they are your go-to for these situations. So if you have someone to come and say, I really need help on this, no one is responding in the platform. These are the people that you have their phone number, that you can actually, or their secretary, or who they are, and you can come to them and say, hey James, can you help me with this? And that makes a full on difference. Your 10 key people are more likely to respond, and they probably will give a really good experience to this person that is coming to you with their issue. So that is like top. So maintaining these relationships, as I mentioned before, is a priority. Now, the second is provide some hand holding. So for example, oh, you cannot find help. Let me search on the platform and see if you have a platform and see if I can find someone. Or let me, kind of schedule something for you. So in that sense, depending on the amount of requests you get, it is worth getting them the help they want if you can, and follow up with them. These people that you help will become again your key people, and they will be a ripple effect to help others as well. And the third one is when you launch an online community or a community, live community as well, you have to have some micro volunteering or a key task always at hand. So if someone comes and tells you, look, I really want to help people, or I want to connect with students, but I just cannot find anyone, you can be like, oh, I'm sorry, maybe students are really busy at this time, but we have this opportunity for you to do a quick recording of 3 minutes. I will use on our website and will use for career search, identification. So you kind of use their content, what they want to say anyways. Or could you write a little testimonial of your experience on your career? Or could you be a speaker for our next event? Or could you host an event on your company? So you always have almost like something that you can give these people to do, even if it doesn't involve your community directly. So they feel useful. And again, you deepen that connection. I find that these like 3 minute videos are really good, and you can post on social media. You can use with your departments. You can use in many, many ways. Um, in your content, and then they kind of are happy they share that, and you can get some traction from that. So yeah, second problem, again, key people, like I mentioned, and definitely some hand holding. But if you can have something there, like a key task there, almost like always ready to give to these people, then you don't have to do much work around that. Okay, problem number 3. Community management is so dynamic that it really gets overwhelming. So, when it gets overwhelming, we just really cannot grasp what we have to do or the next step. So most of us are already scrambling for hours in our day and sometimes our nights in our work life, and communities can really increase those hours a lot. So communities seem, and many times actually are, and I hope some of you, or maybe I don't hope, but that you feel identified with some of these words that you could describe or feel about your communities. They seem massive, they seem really hard to grasp. People from all over the world, different ages, different locations, different everything, and that's really hard. Far away, uh, your communities may seem disconnected, they may seem unresponsive, and they are also ever changing. So really hard to keep up. Sometimes, most of the time, I would say. So when this happens, this is what I will kind of say, and this is the important thing about this troubleshooting session, that because we want to grasp it, we want to really understand our communities, we almost become a bit paralyzed by it. And we need to understand that little tasks make a big impact in the long term. We need to get those 5 people. We need to talk to that one person that is really using it. We need to be really micro, almost like micro reactive, and do these very little things so it becomes a ripple, and then it creates um, effect. So sometimes when we see engagement, we want to tackle everything. So we say we want to engage with internationals, with these people, with, I don't know, with donors. We want to do a lot, and then it becomes almost impossible to organize all those actions and to make it work. So little tasks make big impact, and in the previous 2 problems I have shared some good little tasks to do. Involve others. So think about your team, not only your immediate team, but other people in your community or in your organization that can help. For example, I used to work at King's College London, and there my data team really wanted to have some contact with people, but they were obviously more on the back end of the work. And what we did is that we gave them each 2 or 3 people on our platform that they could talk to, they could have coffee with, and they became almost like our ambassadors. And it was really good for them, and it took away work from me. So if you can, involve others in making these relationships for you, and then you know what I mean, like that just shortens your work, and it makes an impact on the community as well. Again, think small and imagine the ripples. So even if it is like the tiny task, it really makes, and in particularly in the medium and long term, is the only way. If you do a small task, you grab one person that is active, that person in the long term will probably engage 20 to 30 people. And imagine that, multiplied. So that's kind of a mindset, I will say here, and then get up close to some users. So the third problem is, I think, something we all feel at some point managing communities, and the central answer is think little, grab a couple of people, get them really, really acquainted to you and to your system and to your platform or to your community, and send them out there to do good, but really, really start small. So, and again, get up close. It's important to have those 5 to 10 close relationships within your community that you can trust, that you can have coffee with every 3 months, or a chat online or a Zoom call, and really know where they are at in their lives and how can the platform help them. And if that it helps them, it can help others as well. So that will be the end of my content. I hope, let me see the time. I hope I didn't go super fast. I think I went 15 minutes or so. So yeah, 3 problems. Now it's time for questions, SOS. So if you can just share with us your main problem, if I didn't cover it, or if anything I said doesn't make sense, I would love to just have a discussion about it with you. So.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, my baby was crying, so I wasn't able to engage earlier.
Don't worry.
I'm a public health consultant, and my focus is teaching, like helping organizations develop innovative community outreach strategies. And it seems that it's kind of like what you just said, that they don't really see it as a problem, but their online and in-person engagement is really low. So I'm trying to figure out another angle to come at them about, like, your online engagement looks very low. You don't have any, like, a good amount of followers or engagement. And then also, at the community health events, they're just sitting at the table, not really engaging with people. What would you recommend another angle or idea to kind of get them to understand this is really important on improving health outcomes by really engaging with the audience about what service you provide?
I used to do some, I love public health. I think those initiatives are really exciting. I think one thing I will say is to give, depends. I will first work with the team you're working with and see their strengths. So each of them can have like one person that they handle, that they connect with online or in their events. So I think it's like you have to give them micro tasks so they can see the impact. And I think that's what is a bit hard. I think when teams don't see the percentage of our communities are engaging 50%, they become also disillusioned. So I will say, try to give the teams that you work with very clear tasks on within 3 months, you need to have 2 people in your communities, or even like close by, or someone that you work with at a hospital or at an initiative. Be almost like your friends, be your close relationship, understand them. So that is the first one I will say. So like give them that very specific task. It doesn't matter the reasons, it will work. It will help at least to know what your communities are going through. That's the first. And the second one, I think events are super important, both online and in person, but I think maybe trying to get some either kind of heavyweight speaker or someone that can really grab a lot of people into a room or in an online room, because with I think sometimes experts and bring a lot of people that maybe these teams cannot do. So I think trying to bring people in through either high level speakers or high level venues as well. So giving access to some places. For example, I used to try to find access to some kind of, I don't know, we used to do events at hospitals, for example, on like the cafeteria, and then we'll give them a ride on like the back doors or the back elevators, and they will get to see like the back end, or even like at some point I took them to like a helicopter pad that was in one of our hospitals. So I think it's like giving them that exclusive access to the users and to the staff to feel empowered that would really make an impact for people. Yeah, sorry. Let me know if that makes sense. And yeah.
It absolutely does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We have a couple of questions from the chat that are similar, so I'll just read them out. One of those, we're only just embarking on an online community. Any words of advice pre-launch? But there was another question that came in just afterwards. Can you offer us advice about startups and how to start from zero? So what advice could you give us from that sort of very beginning stages?
Yes. So I will start with the online community. Any words of advice pre-launch? So meet people, meet the people you're trying to engage, get them for coffee, get them on a call. That's the only way, because whatever you think of your community, you probably are going to find really surprises in what you know. So if you can get to know a couple of people, or even if you can do some sort of like focus group, getting people together, ask them some fun questions, getting insight, that will really help you. The other thing with pre-launch is try to plan ahead at least 6 months. So basically, the important thing is when people join, they have an action to do when they launch. So like, do your profile, help each other, and then you're going to have an event 2 months later, and then 3 months later have a workshop. So try to have very, very clear points in their calendar, so when they join, the platform is always, or your community is always on their head. Even if it's not on their head, it's on their calendar. So like that, I will say, is the most important thing. So preparing for at least 6 months of actions and engagement before you launch, and getting to meet the people that you're about to launch to as much as you can now, and get your team to also do that, and get just lots of intel from that. And if you can, a little focus group is also fun. So yeah. Can you give, okay, now I'm going for the entrepreneur startups, how to start from zero. Depends on the industry, but again, meeting people. I know I'm repeating myself, but I swear this is where you get all your good ideas from. It's just getting to know the prospective clients you wanna engage. The other thing with startups and with communities is trying to network with either startups that are similar, but more importantly, with experts on whatever you're doing. So, if you're doing fashion, then you need to get 1 or 2 fashion kind of, let's say someone that has a big following on Instagram or Facebook or social, to really back you up. So before you start, you do want to have some people that either have testimonials about your work that can be really enthusiastic. You want to have a good network of people that are known in your field, even if you have to send them some of your products for testing. So you want to do all of that work before you do the big launch almost. So when people come in, they're like, oh, these people that I follow is also buying this product or engaging in this service. So it's about really having, one, for startups, the validation of your peers and users. So someone has had to have tested your product, or some people, and give faith that is really good. And you need some influencers or someone that can say, I use it, and they have a big following. So you can jump into those already very active networks. So that would be my 2 ones for startups to start from zero.
We have unless anybody else wants to jump in with a question, a live question, we have one in the chat from Katie Long saying, thank you so much. Problem is likely engagement on the platform. What tasks would you suggest to give to those that are engaged?
Hi, Katie. Okay, so problem is engagement. So to those that are engaged, you want to almost do like a pyramid of engagement for them. So I would say definitely some sort of video or testimonial, because you want to know their story so you can use them strategically. If you don't know where they're coming from, and you don't know, if they held a scholarship, whatever their experiences are, you want to know. So I would say the first task for anyone engaged is to try to get either a video or a testimonial on who they are, where they come from, and where they are going to. So that is the first one. The second one is to try to give them, for example, exclusive access. So this means if you are working in university, maybe a coffee with a student that is similar to them in profile through widening participation or through careers. Or you wanna, maybe they are really into something, you can organize something with a staff member. So you wanna make sure that with these, your top key people, let's say 10 to 20, if you're going to go for that, you give them exclusivity in some way. You're not going to publicize this exclusivity, but you give them something in return so they keep coming back, So you want to give them that one thing, again, access to the uni, could be a discount on something, or if you're an organization, it could be an interview with someone you're really close with, whatever it is, even like a shout out in your social media if you're really social media heavy. So you want to give them things so they come back. So you build that relationship of reciprocity. So that would be my two things. So like having that, you really want to get to your engaged people, you want to get their story, and you want to give them something in return of what they're doing quickly and personalized so they can come back, and that's your reciprocity relationship built. Yeah. Okay. I am going to, sorry, there was a continuation. So question, can you give us advice about startups? And I think they said, what if is a remote marketing that I'm targeting? I think more important yet is all this networking, like LinkedIn Recs, Instagram, Facebook. I don't know what kind of, yeah, are you using, but you need to have people that are like global and that are really heavily either online or remote endorsing you, because they won't be able to see, or they won't be able to really kind of connect with kind of, yeah, live. So I think for me, those networks become more important, and trying to find whoever it is in your remote relationship that may endorse what you're doing. If you don't have endorsement in this age, is really hard, particularly if it's things online or remote. If you don't have a good endorsement or you don't have a good background history, it's hard to get the market, the chunk of the market that you want. So that's what I would say. But yeah. Is there any other question?
We have one from Thea Windsor into the chat. Do you have any advice on creating community guidelines for platforms? That was from Thea Windsor.
Yes, really, really short, really to the point. And if possible, do something fun about it. So I have seen people do, for example, like you do a 3-minute video and then you do like a quick survey, and when people complete it, you like send them something, or you say, you acknowledge. So try to get people to read it, but to make it fun. Also make it personality based on your people. So I don't know, an example, for example, that I did at one point is that with Kings, I use very old kind of alumni that have passed away, but that were really known by all of our community. So for example, we got like Virginia Woolf to talk to Florence Nightingale, and basically they introduced the community and what we wanted to do with the community. So if you can add personality and your own uniqueness, but also it has to be really short. If it is a page, it has to be half a page most, up to 4 to 5 points, no more than that. If it is a video, 2 minutes tops. To introduce. So try to use very, very personalized and fun, kind of something that people can really feel is from your organization, that is talking to them, and that it embodies the personality and the guidelines you want in your community. Yeah. Hope that helped. I think it was, yeah. Is there any other question? I think there is one, but no, there is one from Doina has to go.
Maria, there is a question, and hi, thanks for doing this, really interesting. From the attendee list, Alistair, I don't know if you saw that. It's do you have any strategy to engage the freshly graduated students?
Yes, so they are they are a very important group and a hard one, because they are really busy, and they're excited about many things. I think for them, you need to grab them on those first 3 months when they are really looking for jobs, figuring out what to do. So yes, so I think for fresh graduates, there are 2 things. One is that you can really provide a network wherever they are moving. So imagine a lot of them will be moving somewhere that is not the city where they studied. So you really want to advertise how much people you have in each region of your country and globally, and really get them to have access to that. So, are you moving to the US from the UK? Look how many alumni we have in the US. Contact them. They will have a coffee with you. They will be your first knock in the door wherever you go. So one, networks, really highlighting them on your recent grad engagement, and also really being there for the first 3 months. I really recommend, if you can get the manpower to it, to really do some sort of mentoring or transition process. Careers can help on this as well. So, choose, 20 to 30 recent grads, choose your 20 to 30 mentors that are the best or engaged, and try to match and try to help. So if you can do some hand holding here, you'll have them for life. So it's really, really good. So I would say hand holding if you can. If not, really highlight your networks and try to really get activity there. Sorry. And last one get your mentors to really help. So say, this is your new graduation class. If you can send them names on a spreadsheet, if you cannot send surnames, or highlight some of them and say, can you please contact them through your networks and really get them. So do the reverse and try to get the mentors to offer their help without you in the middle. If you cannot do or do both, just get the mentors to act. And if you can, do a mini handheld program. Those would be my 3 things with them. Just get someone on the phone or better if it is in person, get a coffee and see what they think, who they are, and how you can kind of see your community through their eyes as well. I think someone. Any tips of getting mentors to act and reach out to students? Yes. Well, one of them is to try to get students to give their plea for help in their profiles, for example, in their community, or send it to the mentors. So one initiative I saw that worked really well was that they got mentees to say what they needed. So for example, I'm really looking for information on the law degree, or I'm really looking for information on working in the US. And they send that list anonymized to the mentors. And the mentors say, okay, I want to help this person. And then the office match them, or at least communicate them somehow. So if you can get the students to articulate what they want, the mentors are really keen to really help. But they need that specific, almost like that very specific ask. So if you can gather questions, and you also solve the problem that mentees sometimes are shy to approach. So if you get their plea for help, you get it out there, and you get requests from the plea for help, not for the person, then you can contact them very quickly, get them to connect, and it's easier. So for mentors, it's about reading or even sending them a list of the requests, and they can volunteer to one. Is much easier than sometimes they scrambling or waiting to be contacted. So yeah, that will be my advice on mentors.
If I could just add to that, Maria, as well. So similar angle in terms of getting the students to describe not just what they want, but there was a Oxford College that did a program where they asked the students to describe the person. So not this is what I need, but if you could talk to someone right now, what would that person look like? And they were getting descriptions such as somebody who studied sciences but moved into law. Ideally living in Southeast Asia, right? And so they become kind of these identities that they then put out to their alumni group, and then people could see themselves in those descriptions, and they actually got a very strong response. I think they got something like 3 mentors actually responding for each student's description. So that was a very effective way.
Very good. Yeah, as well. So I think if you can, it's not a heavy-handed work as well.
I have a great question from Rachel here at the bottom saying, is there a university that you think is doing this really well?
Rachel, can you tell what is this? So engaging, or what exactly? Engaging their communities online, or engaging in general, mentoring? Can you just tell us quickly? I think every university has
I think just building community and making sure that people are actively using it and making those links.
Like I said, this is tricky because I think every university has its strengths and weaknesses. I will say that I have liked London Business School in the way they engage their class off and their groupings. That's really good. They create groups per class, and they really get them to engage intensely. I think that is a good, they're doing well there, and they get lots of responses as far as I understand. Yes, I will say that there was a point, and I am not going to remember the name of the university, but what I have seen communities being almost like on fire in terms of engagement is when they have been able to do these like very intense hand holding, you know what I mean, small groups, but those groups then become very active and they do lots of things. So like this mentoring, handhold mentoring, even if it's 20 people, I have seen that in many universities work the best. To just, then you don't have to do it again or so often, you know. I think those are the 2 things. So like one is doing LBS, does a lot of like affiliation engagement, they do it very well, but also these mentoring or these like engagements that are really intense, that can be really good. Yeah, those are the ones that come to mind, but I cannot.
I'll say the ones where there's actually a purpose. So we want to kind of shout out and give credit to certain universities. I mean, for example, another one is Bath, I think, who have done well with their Bath Connection program. So they have a two-pronged or two-purpose mission, which is the employability of students, and connecting students to alumni, but also in admissions as well. So communities, I think, in particular online communities, you can kind of go down the path thinking, okay, let's just get everyone on there and hopefully they have conversations, when actually that's not what creates the biggest success. The biggest success is actually purpose-driven spaces, and whether it's on a platform or whether it's offline, give people a very clear reason to engage and what they're there to do. So the ones which do that give their members purpose, and that's when they get sort of the best engagement. I was going to say the LDS as well.
This is Brittany Jenkins. I wanted to chime in on the mentorship. I also run a 4-week public health mentor program. Oh, sorry, sorry, just a second. I had a call coming through. I run a 4-week public health mentor program, and what I've noticed over the last 3 years is engagement is all about giving them things to do in a way, but not overwhelming them. For example, if they complete a worksheet that week, then here's a badge or a small prize. Doing surveys like during the presentation versus sending it to them after, that keeps them engaged. Having them introduce themselves to other people who are part of your mentor program who they might not know. My mentor program reaches people all over the country, so it was really cool for them to really introduce themselves to others. So finding out different ways to further engage them versus just presenting to them, and using platforms like Prezi and Mentimeter, which are like really engaging polls and presentations versus the typical PowerPoints. So think on that. I think that really has changed the engagement for my mentor programs for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, with that. It's really, really good advice as well. And I think this like constant to do something that is important to them, but that is like a to do something there, it really helps. It helps everything. Yeah, I agree.
I'll add one last thing since there is some quietness. I actually if people are interested in joining the mentor program, they have to fill out a pre-survey or a pre-assessment in a way. And I ask what their pain point is, and that really helps me to further develop or make edits to the program prior to it starting, so that I can make sure I hit their pain points as well as what they hope to get out of the program. And then doing more videos and pictures versus like words all over the presentation. So those are my last 2 points.
That's really, yeah, I will jump into that. Yeah, that is such a good point as well. I have a kind of a number for that as well. Like when I was at King's, we had, we had mentoring programs and our engagement was about 5%. And then we decided to make mentees apply and actually interview with us. We ended up getting like 300 interviews done, like mini interviews. We had to do groups because of the interest was so high. But everyone that passed through an interview, a lot of them didn't show, a lot of them kind of fell through from the application to the interview to properly being part of the program. But the ones that we interviewed were our super users, were super mentees. They then became mentors in the, kind of in the long term. And I agree, like sometimes we want to make things really easy. And I think for big online communities, that's the way, like they need to go in easily. But if you want that deeper engagement, you need to put pain points that make them prove themselves. And that also makes what you offer really exciting, like, oh, I need to fight for this. I'm going to be, like chosen for this. So I agree. And I have seen it, our engagement went from 5% to 55 to 60% of engagement in terms of mentoring because of those interviews. And everyone was like, you're crazy, you're good. No one is going to do it. And I think people like to work hard for things now, and it's worth it. So I agree. Thanks, Brittany.
Does anybody have any last questions? Well, actually, no, it's a bit earlier than I thought it was. Actually, it's 3:47 in the UK. Does anybody have any last questions before we maybe start to wrap up? Not even from Dan. Well, if nobody has any questions, I will speak slowly and feel free to interrupt. Oh no, we have a question. Can you see that at the bottom? Oh, sorry, my screen's slowed right down. Sorry. Maria, can you see that properly?
Yeah. What are you looking for in a marketeer when hiring him or her? I'm looking for the personability, so empathy and the personal ability. More than the skill, more than some of the skills, I'm looking for someone that can make connections and can make people be themselves and talk and, you know, be genuine. So I'm looking for that type of personality, actually, more than sometimes some of the general skills. Because like I said, community is about not blood and tears, but it is about heart. You know, it is about kind of flesh, and it's about who you are and how can you fit into this group or into this space. And if you can have a person in marketing that can actually see that, like, who are you in your flesh and how can we make this space work for you? But for that, you need to get to know the people and you need to be empathetic. So I think for me, it will be that person that can really almost like forget a bit about campaigns, you know, and forget a bit about, and first get to know my community, you know, in their hearts and in their minds, you know, and what they want. And then after that, put that into a product or into a campaign, advertisement, etc., into a space that really reflects that. So I will first look for that personal, you know, ability to build relationships more than all the other things. And I think the other things will fall from that if they are able to just mirror what they see in people, what they feel in people, into a space or into a campaign. So that will be my thing for me.
I had a small question actually. Now I'm not sure if it's any good, but when you have a large community, do you ever find that have you ever come across people that have the need to guide people or onboard people into the community? You know, if the community has lots and lots of different groups and lots of different interests, is there a way of onboarding people into large communities so they can belong right away?
I think the best way, well, obviously having a night, kind of like an intro, either video or your community guidelines or something that introduces the community nicely to them and easily and makes, you know, something that really kind of reflects the essence of your community. If you can welcome them with that, that is really powerful. But the best way, if you can, is that your own community welcome the new people, you know, so like they themselves write to them, or your super engaged people kind of send a quick message to that person so that they feel seen from the get-go. That would be the ideal. Even in big communities, you can definitely get, you know what I mean, you can group your mentors or your engaged people to really welcome others, you know, as much as you can. And that makes the entire difference. When someone in the community say, I see you, welcome, what do you need or what do you want? So if you can generate that type of community to community welcome and onboarding, you have half of the job done. Yeah, it also makes people accountable that they are part of a community, that they are seen, and that therefore they should do something on it. So that also helps with accountability. Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad question I asked, so that's good.
It was a good question. It was a really good question.
Does anybody have any other questions for Maria today? Well, in that case, Maria, thank you so much for joining us again. It's been a little while since we got to share the laptop screen together. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that hear what we have recorded this, we are recording this. We will be in touch with the recording when we're finished. If you have any other questions for us or Maria, there are some links in the chat to Maria's LinkedIn, mine, the Illuminati LinkedIn, and there is also a link to our news and resources page on our website, where you will find recordings from this and all of our previous events. But also follow us on LinkedIn and sign up to our mailing list. It's been lovely to have you all here. And we will see you all again soon. And the next date will be announced very shortly. But thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, everyone. Great engagement. Very exciting.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Bye.